Hey, this is Jennifer Quick from Soul Clarity Coaching, and today is Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and it's Soul Chat time. So, very nice to see you all. I hope some of you can get on and join me. And if you aren't able to join me live and you're watching this on the replay, that's okay, because whatever I have to say will be pertinent to you as to when you view this. So, hello, I hope everything's going well for everybody. So, a couple things I was going to talk about today, one of which is I got in a discussion today with a good friend of mine about the energies that are happening right now in general. So, this is a real general societal thing. If you are a star seed, which a lot of those who are watching this are probably star seeds, meaning that you don't originate from Earth as your home planet. You actually come from a home planet in the cosmos, normally, where your soul would normally reside, but it's here for the evolution. Anyhow, um, if you are a star seed, chances are you are starting to notice, especially if you're a healer, you are starting to notice a lot of really heavy, dark energy. So as a healer who's been, we've been working at this for a long time. Most healers have been around for quite a while. If you're new to this, that's okay. But those of us that have been around as healers for quite some time, we've all you go through phases and you kind of get themes of issues going on with your clients. And for over the last year, especially, and it seems to be even this fall and into the winter has even been more so, there is a very dark, dense, heavy energy that has been needed to heal. This shows up as a lot of entity attachment, curses, agreements, soul contracts that are no longer in favor for us, trapped souls that have been working in the darker energies and are struggling to come back to the light. There's a lot of those souls are out reaching now for help. Um, a lot of uh, the anxiety, depression that's been around for a long time. Anxiety and depression is a little bit more of a sign of somebody who is um, really getting the wake up call from spirit. Okay, like their soul team, their inner spirit guide team, and whatever masters want to work with them are really kind of shaking them and saying, "Wake up, wake up! You got to let go." Of your control at staying in a very third dimensional density and structural thinking. You need to open up and you need to realize that there is actually a whole nother world going on around us. This is the world of energy, it's the soul, it's spirit, it's what a lot of different names for it. It's the Akash that's all around us. All right. And anxiety and depression are often a sign of, and that pressure that you get is a sign of waking up to that. But this is different, this energy, this lower vibration energy. A lot of contracts between souls for karmic healing, releasing karmic cycles. A lot of that's coming to the surface. And from really dark, dark places, a lot of sexual abuse is coming to the surface right now. And a lot of people are kind of wondering, like, do I have a problem with sexual abuse? And this is something that it tends to affect people who've been around healing for a while a little more than those who are new to the healing field. And that's this sexual shift that's happening, which is another theme that came up. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. So, being aware, and this is that this lower energy is really coming to the surface. It's because Gaia, our Mother Earth, is actually raising the vibrations and she's releasing the shadows, and it's releasing the shadows that we hold in our subconscious, in our societal grounds, our societal consciousness that runs, cultural consciousness. All of those are really coming into play. And wanting to be healed. So they're being revealed a lot more. And people are not able to deny that this stuff is happening as much, which causes it come to the light, which causes it to get healed. And that's what we're working with. So this is because even those people who have refused to embrace their spiritual evolution are being pushed and pulled through the evolution. And that's why these darker, heavier energies are really revealing themselves right now. So if you're a healer out there, you may be seeing this pattern in your practice. Um, and just know that what it is. To work with it, just make sure that you are keeping yourself aligned to divine source. There's a lot of draconian energy that's coming to the surface, a lot of draconian influence, and draconian influences that are stuck into our bodies that are being revealed right now. It can be, for a healer, a time that you really want to make sure you're keeping your boundaries, you're keeping yourself clear in your own energy, as well as keeping yourself connected to source. Remember, you always connect to source first, and then you work with whatever team and realms that you're working with. As you work with lower vibrations, that becomes even more and more important to understand what those connections are and to embrace them. So that's for healers. So really make sure you're doing your practice of boundaries, cleansing, separating from your clients, realizing that you don't do the soul work for them. You simply are offering guidance for them to work through their own soul issues. So that's that. Now this whole pin that I'm going to take out now that I was talking about, the sexual energy. So quite a few people in my practice this last couple months really have brought up a lot of sexual identity issues. Quite a few people have been like, I've lost my sexual desire. Is it because I'm getting older? Is it because, and I've had this actually even from people in their early 20s and that, and a lot of teens that I've talked to that don't have sexual desires. Like there's a whole shift in the sexual identity and desire area. And what this is in most cases, I mean, yes, it can be trauma based. It can be, all the things that we know, right, of normal dealing with the sexual abuse and traumas that are held in our conscious, right? All of that. But I'm not talking about that. I am talking about there's a shift that happens as you go through the evolution where you move into a sexual arousal arena where the old third dimensional practicality, the role identity, the dominant, submissive, all that kind of energy is and desire aspect is no longer working for you. Because what you're working towards is more of a union between two people who are whole in the and balanced in their energy, each balanced in their own, coming together and balancing together and igniting the spark of love between them, which is a much higher passion. It's actually quite, if you study some of the sexual alchemy, it is quite a chemistry combination that can really open up our spiritual evolution. And in the process of transitioning, as we're waking up and we're going from this lower density desire area into a higher coming together desire, union desire, you're in that transition, your love or your sexual desire can flatline. Okay, if this is happening to you, don't be afraid. There's nothing wrong with you. You're evolving, right? We're in an evolution. Our souls are evolving. We're becoming we are becoming even bigger, multiple dimensional conscious being is what it is. And so there's nothing wrong with you. You're just evolving, and you're evolving into needing to have relationships that have more depth, more soul connection, we're not getting together because we need to for survival. We're getting together because we help each other be more evolved people. Okay. So it's part of our soul evolution. It's part of our journey moving forward and expanding who we are. So if that's what you're going through, there's a little insight to it. I hope that helps. And healers, if you're working with that, look and see where your clients are. Are they in an evolution where they're transitioning their sexual desire from one dimension to a next dimension? Or are they dealing with trauma? So we want to look for those two differences and treat them appropriately. All right. So anyhow, those are some of the issues that came up for me in the last little while that I didn't know that I wanted to talk about. And apparently I did, because it all came out, and here it is, because this is live, and this is the joy of live. The joy of live is I don't really know what I'm going to talk about. So There it is. That's what I was going to talk about. So, anyhow, just to make sure I have something to talk about, I usually pull a couple of cards just to give me some ideas to thinking. So, this is the portion where I'm going to look at what I pulled. So, I pulled a card that is called, it says, Enhancing Your Intimate Relationships. Well, I think I talked a little bit about that, right? Maybe that's what that was all about. But I'll talk a little bit more intimate relationships. There is So when we have in our intimate relationships, particularly in our romantic relationships, especially, we have come together in the past for the basis of survival. Okay, you do a role, I do a role, and together the household thrives, right? You take care of the kids, I bring in the profit, whatever. You do farming, you do cooking, whatever it is, you divide the roles, and it's all around surviving and thriving in everybody doing their roles. Then we get into another level. So once that need is met, we evolve into a more fourth dimensional thinking where, you know what, we emotionally support each other. We are sounding boards for each other. We are helpful, and there's a lot more intellectual stimulus between people. That's another higher dimensional aspect of our intimacy. And now there's even the next one is where you become whole as an individual. You become balanced in your masculine, feminine energy. You become quite open consciousness and awareness, and your partner is doing the same. And you actually come together, um, supporting and picking up the pieces and providing that compassionate space for each other so that you have somewhere to reset and evolve. Right? I always say it's really hard to know how to evolve and embrace more of your soul light and shine brighter in this world if you can't see what it means to be shining bright. And that's kind of what our intimate relationships are needing to be now. They need to hold that vision for us of who we really are. They need to see that light of who we are. We hold space for each other without judgment. It's really, and the key part is that lack of judgment. So again, our intimate relationships, and this is not just romantic, this is actually in all of our relationships, but obviously the more closer intimate we are with somebody, the more this is applicable. Where so we are, yes, we're each playing, where resources are coming together for basic survivals, not as much a priority anymore. The emotional mental stimulation, that is certainly coming together, but again, now we're actually evolving into relationships that hold space without judgment for each other. So that's the evolvement of your intimate relationships. And that was this card that came up. So the other card, I've had two more cards that came up that I'll talk about and how they apply. So creating a healthy structure. So this is, again, I'm going to stay on the theme of intimate relationships because that seems to be where we are. So creating a healthy structure.